The best way to understand viruses is to understand their properties. And in this episode, we are going to discuss just that. But first, remember what we learned in high school biology? If we were to take a drop of blood or a small section of a leaf and place it under a microscope, we would see the cells present in the drop of blood and the cells that made up the leaf. Cells are known as the building blocks of life. Inside these cells are subunits called organelles. Each organelle has specific functions. Take the nucleus, which is the brain of the cell. The mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell and it generates energy required for the cell's survival. When not infecting their host, viruses survive as a virus particle known as the virion. Virions are very small. So small that you can't study them under the standard light microscope, like the one in your science lab. You will need an electron microscope. Virions are measured in nanometers, with the smallest virion being the parvovirus with a diameter of 20 nanometers, while the mimivirus are the largest with a diameter of about 100 nanometers. Viruses are not exactly living. Are viruses living organisms? This is a hot debate in the scientific community. When attached to host cell, viruses reproduce. Reproduction is a sign of being alive. Oui? Yes, but when viruses are not attached to their host cell, they survive as inert or inactive virus particles. The keyword here being inactive, meaning they are not alive. The answer to the question is ambiguous. As of now, viruses are classified as infectious biological particles or simply infectious agents. Viruses have genes. The virion contains the genome or the genetic information of the virus. Our genome is composed of a double-stranded DNA coiled in a double helix. The virus genome may be composed of either a single-strand RNA, a double-strand RNA, a single-strand DNA, or a double-stranded DNA. The genome of plants and animals are present in the nucleus of their cells. Irrespective of the virus genome, whether it is RNA or DNA, the shape of the genome can either be circular or a straight linear strand. The genome is enclosed in a protein coat called a capsid, and in some viruses there is an additional lipid envelope. The capsid protects the virus genome and is made up of one or more protein molecules. Although the individual capsid molecules are asymmetrical, the molecules arrange themselves symmetrically. Some of the symmetrical shapes they arrange themselves include helix and the icosahedral. Viruses are parasites. A parasite is an organism living in another organism, commonly called the host. The parasite can adapt to living with its host. It feeds off it and even cause it harm, which can sometimes lead to the death of the host. Just like Dick's ancestors during the colonial era. Blimey, how dare you! Viruses are parasites and can infect all life forms. This means viruses thrive only when they find a host cell. In humans, viruses are capable of infecting all major tissue and organ systems. Take our heart as an example. It can be infected by the Coxsackie B virus. I did not make that up. That's the real name of the virus. Turns out, the virus gets its name because it was first isolated in the town of Coxsackie, located in New York State. It is possible for more than one type of virus to infect a tissue or an organ system. Take our respiratory tract as an example. It can be infected by the human rhinovirus, influenza A and influenza B viruses, measles virus, the human coronaviruses, and the SARS coronavirus. The virions depend on the host cells for everything, for energy, the cell's ribosomes for protein synthesis, And it also uses the cell's amino acids as the building blocks of the new virions. Although the process of infecting the host cells varies between different viruses, the basic steps remain the same. First, the virion attaches itself to the host cell. The virion then prepares to enter the host cell in order to replicate. The capsid, or the outer protein layer, is uncoated in order to make the genetic material available for replication. This is the biosynthesis phase, where the virus genome replicates itself by using the energy of the cell. The new virions are assembled, and upon maturity, the new virions are released so that they can infect other cells. The new virions are inert or inactive, that is, until they find a new host cell. In some host cells, like the bacteria, the release of the new virion cells only happens when the cell bursts or lyses. Thankfully, most viruses don't lyse their cells. Instead, they keep releasing new virion cells over a period of time. The changes to the host cell caused by the virus can result in a reduced immune response. Some viruses can only replicate if the host cell is already infected with another virus, called a helper virus. Take the example of the hepatitis delta virus. It can only replicate if the host cell is already infected with the hepatitis B virus. Sacre bleu! C'est un ménage à trois microscopique. It is important to note that not all viral infections lead to disease. Viruses are pathogenic or causes disease only under certain circumstances, like the presence of another virus or the effectiveness of the host's immune system. Interestingly, a strong immune system does not guarantee the complete elimination of the virus. Alright folks, that's the end of our episode today. I'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay safe. Hey folks, I hope you enjoyed that video. Please let me know by smashing that like button. And please share this video. This content must be available to everyone. If you haven't done so yet, please consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next episode.